to get ready for our pinwheel. I have my two 8-inch squares ready to go, and I'm going to start by putting them right sides together. And I'm going to use a few pins in place just to keep the fabric from slipping as I go to sew it. Get this on properly. And I prefer to use these flathead pins because when I go to cut something, the ruler will lay on top of it compared to if I had used the pins with a round head on it. So I'm going to just pin these in place just to keep it from sliding. And now we are going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around and then come back to. Okay, I have my 1/4 inch seam sewn all the way around, and now we're going to cut this into 4, but the ruler is placed diagonally from corner to corner. And because I have the flathead pins, as I mentioned, I can just place the ruler on top of it without disturbing the pins. I'm just going to rotate my mat so we don't want those to move. Do this without being in an awkward position. So we've got 4 half square triangles cut now. Remove the pins, and now we are going to press these open, and you always want to press towards the dark fabric so we can easily stack them this way to open them all up. And we're going to gradually just open this up. Just give this a bit of a press to get that ready for pressing. And do that with each one of them, and press that, and then we can trim off the dog ears. You can either use your rotary cutter or a pair of scissors to cut those off, and then bring the squares back. Okay, I have my squares there already. Now this is actually a very common and very useful and very versatile half square triangle that can be used to make quite a few different patterns. You could actually use this to make a whole quilt just by arranging these in a different pattern. You can make this into a square, and then of course when you put this with another square, you're going to have these dark red squares and alternating with these squares. By arranging these in a different pattern, I'm making a strip there, and you can see that we now have a strip going this way, and we're basically making stripes just by rearranging these 4. Let's see, you can do that, and there's another different pattern. So you can have a whole quilt just by using this very simple and easy to do pattern. Okay, but now today we're going to arrange them this way to put them into a pinwheel. And there's the pinwheel. So what we're going to do is to sew these 2 pieces together, and sew these 2 pieces together, 1/4 inch seam, and when you're pressing these seams, press one going this direction and that one going the other direction. One of the big things about quilting is to have your seams matching, and when we go to sew these 2 pieces together along that seam, you'll see that these seams are going to line up, and these 2 seams will actually nest together. And you can actually feel, I'm starting to, with them overlapping, and when I pull it this way, I can feel when it slides in and locks into place, and these 2 seams are now matching very well. So I'm going to hold those in place. You can actually pin it if you like, or clip it, and now I'm going to go and sew my 1/4 inch seam. Okay, I have my 2 pieces joined together, and each one I press the seam towards the dark. So that means that they're going to nest together very easily, but lay them out and make sure that you have them lined up correctly, because it's very easy to go and switch this or put it in the wrong position. So we want to make sure that it's lined up correctly the way we want it before we go ahead and sew. And again, I'm going to sew this long seam, but I'm going to nest these seams so that we have a good match at the center before I get started. You can see that it's going to match quite nicely in the center. Sew the seam, and then you can press the final seam in either direction, and this block is done.